Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has now become one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a movie that I want to instantly rewatch after finishing it, and this is something that very few films have done for me. That's how good it is, and if you haven't seen it yet, stop what you're doing right now and give it a watch, because I'm going to be getting into spoilers, and trust me, you won't regret it. The movie follows a man named Joel Barash, played by Jim Carrey, who we see at the beginning of the film skipping his usual commute to work and instead catching a train to Montauk. On the train, he meets a woman called Clementine Krasinski, played by Kate Winslet. We see them interacting with each other and enjoying each other's company. Immediately, the film gives us a sense of the dynamic between these two characters. Joel is very closed off and introverted, whereas Clementine is much more confident and carefree. In fact, she's the one that makes the first move and tries to get Joel to come out of his shell, and with these actions, the film conveys a stark contrast between these two characters. On the surface, they might not seem like they have very much in common, but as the film progresses, we learn that they're actually a lot more similar than we initially thought. The scene presents itself as the first time they ever met, but later on in the film, we learn that they actually met 2 years prior to this and have already had a relationship. The reason they don't recognize each other is because they both decided to have their memories of each other erased after they broke up by a company called Lacuna Inc. However, during the procedure, Joel suddenly decides that he doesn't want to go through with it after he witnesses the happy memories of him and Clementine and realizes that he doesn't want to forget her. The film then cuts back and forth between the real world and the world inside Joel's head. In the real world, the Lacuna technicians work to erase his memory of Clementine, and inside his head, Joel fights to keep these memories alive. Joel and Clementine are two very interesting characters. Joel fears rejection, so he avoids taking risks, he avoids talking to women. Clementine is worried that her real personality might come off as shallow, so she instead masks her true identity, presenting herself as someone who is quirky and energetic. They are two sides of the same coin. They both seek connection, they just go about it in different ways. The pair also go through their own character arcs. Joel learns to be more open and honest, and Clementine learns that running away from her problems won't get rid of them. Another thing I want to talk about is the acting. The acting in this movie is one of the many things that I love about it. Anyone that says Jim Carrey has no range and can only play comedic roles has clearly not seen him in anything serious. Movies like Eternal Sunshine and The Truman Show really showcase his range. They show that he can play more dramatic and emotional roles as well as his signature comedic ones. Kate Winslet also did an incredible job as Clementine. When I first watched this movie, I didn't even realize that it was Kate Winslet. I didn't know which actress portrayed her, so I just saw Clementine. Both actors portray their characters perfectly, and the chemistry between them is incredible. It didn't feel like I was watching two actors on screen, it felt like I was watching two real people who have a history together. And that's when you know the acting in a show or movie is amazing, when it has your full attention and really immerses you in the world and its characters. The music is another aspect of this film that I love. Composed by John Brion, the music is memorable, melancholic, and reflective in tone. It gives so much life and personality to the film. It's effective because of its simplicity. Eternal Sunshine also dives into a number of different themes memory, identity, love, loss, and these themes all connect to the main message of the story, which is that our memories and the people that we surround ourselves with are what make us who we are, and erasing them from your mind is like erasing a part of yourself. The film shows us that relationships are worth getting into, not just for the good parts, but the bad parts too. It shows us the beauty of imperfection, that these moments are what make life meaningful. It also explores the idea of fate and second chances, and we see this towards the end of the film very clearly, when Joel and Clementine reunite on the train after having their memories erased. Knowing this, Joel's decision to take a detour at the beginning of the film makes a lot more sense. It wasn't just a random impulsive decision, it was his subconscious guiding him back to Clementine, suggesting that even though they had forgotten each other, some bonds are so strong that they transcend memory, that their connections are ingrained into who they are. There's been a lot of debate over the film's ending. Some people think it's a sad ending, that Joel and Clementine's relationship was doomed to fail from the start, that their actions would just cause the same result. But I see it as a happy ending, a hopeful ending. I see it as a new beginning, because although yes, the ending is left ambiguous to the viewer, and we don't know how their story will end, by the end of the film we see Joel and Clementine choosing to stay together, even after knowing how it ended before. They accept each other for who they are, including their flaws. Overall, I think this movie is a masterpiece. The concept, the story, the characters, the performances, the music, the themes, everything about it is brilliantly executed. Over the past decade, it seems like every movie being made has to be a massive blockbuster or prequel or sequel, and there's nothing wrong with blockbusters, of course, but these are the kinds of movies that I miss and want to see more of. Movies that are much smaller in scale and have original, interesting ideas, complex themes, and nuanced, well-written characters. That's why people keep coming back to them, because they're timeless films.